Methadone, or as the media calls it, meow meow, is a stimulant drug. It was one of the first legal highs that became widely popular as party drugs in the end of the 2000s. It is chemically similar to the cathinone compounds found in the khat plant of Eastern Africa. After most European countries banned it, it was replaced by other legal highs. Methadone was first synthesized in 1929, but it was forgotten for decades. In 2004 it was rediscovered as a recreational drug by a psychedelic researcher who calls himself Dr. Z. He gave an exclusive interview to Drogriporter in New Zealand. One of your best known discoveries is methadone.
Yes.
How did you discover this substance? Can you tell us the story?
Yeah, in Israel, cathinone was legal at the time because we have a large Yemenite community that chews cat leaves, and we didn't want to spoil that cultural heritage. And that has been preserved actually until today. So I realized that it was legal, so I made some on my own. I found it to be a better alternative to, say, what was the cocaine that was circulating in Tel Aviv at the time. And I said, well, you know, this should be available to everyone. The authorities made it illegal after 2 or 3 years, and I took the cathinone skeleton and started imagining substitutions. So we changed a little bit here, changed a little bit there, and then from that very large set of possible analogs that you can make, I found the ones that it is possible to make, and the ones that it is possible to make inexpensively and cleanly. And then you make them one after. You make 5 grams of this and that and that and that and that, and then you try them. And you're right in calling it a discovery, because you don't know in advance what it's going to do or if it's going to do anything. You only know after you've tried it. And then, if you find something, or if I find something I like, I scale.
What do you think why methadone became so popular?
Oh, that doesn't have very much to do with me. It was because the Chinese imitated the process that I invented to make it. Competition brought the price down and increased availability. I was very happy about that, actually. I didn't mind. It achieved my main goal. Also, the media didn't understand what they understand today, that when you warn about a drug, you make it very, very popular. The media is a little bit more responsible today. And they don't give me free advertising like they did back in those days. So the media created the popularity of methadone. It informed everybody in the public that there is a legal, good drug called meow meow, and that created a huge demand. And when there's a demand and you have suppliers that can also supply, there's a supply. The whole thing left me far behind after the first year.
Did you get into trouble because of your inventions, like with the police?
I've never broken the law. I take very, very special care to only create substances that are legal where they are created and where they are shipped. That's the point behind legal highs.
How was your first personal experience with methadone? How did it work on you?
I find that it works pretty much the same on most people. When they're all under the same influence, they all converge to the same Really hard to study. Psychoactive substances can very, very specifically switch off or turn on subnetworks of the brain. Mind-altering substances are to brain science what, say, night vision glasses are to the study of nocturnal fauna.
Do you invent these substances only for scientific experiments, or was it your intention that like millions of young people will use it for recreational purposes too?
Yeah, it was. It was, that came from inside. Every substance that I really enjoy, I don't feel right about enjoying it alone. It doesn't make sense to me. I think that if something is really good, it should be available to everyone. It has to be good, it has to be pure, it has to be cheap. That's the understanding that drove me to do what, say, Alexander Shulgin never did do, which is to really make large amounts available. It's a very different process to make 5 grams and to make 5 tons.
Why do you think that you have to produce tons of these substances, and don't you think that this will be like ruining many people's lives because they don't know the limits and they don't know anything about your real intentions to experiment on your neurons and scientific value of all this?
I think that prohibition makes people react to the availability of a substance like an opportunity. So they say, okay, come on, let's get it as much as we can, as fast as we can, before they make it illegal. Okay? That's terrible. If it's available all the time, with information available about it, then people don't approach it as an opportunity. I think that when they do approach it as an opportunity, it's a bad thing. If all of Europe did not criminalize methadone, I think that what would happen was that people would say, yeah, I can take methadone whenever I want, the prices would go down, the quality would go up, the opportunity and the need to, take it this weekend and that weekend because maybe it won't be around very soon, we won't be able to enjoy it, that wouldn't be there anymore. And people would use it only when it really gives them benefit. So they want to be more open at a club and more awake, they want to have better sex, they want to have better focus, they want to feel a little bit good because maybe they've been having a hard day, they want to take the stress away. Of course they wouldn't use it when they need to go to sleep or when they have a big day the next day or when, and even if they do use it to escape, after a while a sensible person says, this is just an escape. I'm not dealing with my real problems. People grow up, they mature, they use, so maybe they abuse, and then they say, okay, enough. They don't have a chance to do that when they're jumping from opportunity to opportunity.
While most people use methadone as a party drug, a lot of people inject it, and while heroin is injected 3-4 times a day, methadone is injected 10 or 15 times a day. So drug users who use methadone, they need more clean needles. But in the same period, government spent less money on distributing needles among drug users. So that resulted in skyrocketing of HIV among drug users. What do you think about that?
There was no funding for needles. Somebody decided that they don't want to help junkies anymore. That doesn't have very much to do with me. It's not a money issue. It doesn't cost anything. They're saying what they think about junkies. It's a problem with HIV and needles. I have to tell you that I think about what happens to drugs in a no regulation scenario. And that's the kind of thing that happens. And I think that no regulation, and so when anything is allowed, and prohibition when nothing is allowed, they're very, very close. Very, very close to each other. I think that when a drug is legal, it doesn't mean that you should use it all the time, as much as you can. No. It's like you should save it for when it's useful. The whole idea is to make people's lives better, not worse. If you take something that has potential to be beneficial and use it in a way which is detrimental to you and your health and the people around you, then you've screwed up. And we want to try to help each other to do that as seldom as possible, right? We want to try to help each other to do good things as often as possible. I think that legal highs can first and foremost provide a legal alternative to illegal drugs so that people can abuse legally and safely. And this is really funny because, you know, the authorities want to say, no, there's no such thing as using legally. There's no such thing. If you use, it's illegal, we're going to put you in jail and you're going to suffer. And a lot of people that use drugs, they're like, but don't I suffer enough? I use drugs because my life is shit. So what is your answer to make it even more shit?
What I feel is that you are kind of frustrated with this prohibition system. So is it like a strong motivation for you to like destroy the system, or at least to show that it doesn't work and to provide alternatives to people?
Everybody's frustrated by the prohibition system. If I was less of an idealist and more of a business person, I would love the prohibition system. Prohibition takes my products and makes them 10 times more valuable. If I was a really good businessman, I would invent a chemical, send it to all the newspapers and all the politicians to make sure that it becomes illegal as fast as possible. While that is happening, I would have large storage rooms with a few tons of that chemical ready for the day it becomes illegal. Then the price jumps by 10 times and I sell it then, after the price jumps. And then I make a lot of money, and when it's impossible to manufacture and import it, I go on to the next one and do it again and again. But I am more of an idealist and less of a businessman. I think that I have been useful in bringing new psychoactive substances to public attention. I think that the synthetic cannabinoids played a much larger part. I think that everything that happened in New Zealand happened because of synthetic cannabinoids, not cathinones. In Europe, cathinones are very famous, but actually in Europe also people use synthetic cannabinoids more. It's kind of like in a James Bond movie. You have lots of action and the sex scene. People they generally get excited from the movie because of the action, but when they go home, they talk about the sex scene. So in the landscape of new psychoactive substances, the synthetic cannabinoids are the action, and mephedrone was the sex scene.